I earned a whopping $2 billion overnight from live streaming my baby. I thought I'd finally be able to give my precious daughter a comfortable, leisurely life, but unexpectedly, I was in a car crash on the way home. When I opened my eyes again, I had actually transmigrated into a scumbag who was a drunkard and a gambler. A little adorable child was looking at me with a wronged expression. "Daddy, please don't hit mommy anymore." I abruptly opened my eyes wide. A torrent of memories flooded into my mind. The original host was clearly a scumbag who drank and gambled every day, yet he managed to marry a popular celebrity wife. Later, when the relationship was exposed, his wife resolutely resigned from her job as a singer and even gave birth to a lovely daughter for him. However, after the passionate period ended, the original host was fired from his company due to his own incompetence. He then blamed his inability on his wife, feeling that it was because he married this bad omen that he lost his career. After receiving the original host's memories, I couldn't help but curse under my breath. "You beast!" Then, with a complicated expression, I slowly raised my head and looked towards the corner. The mother and daughter were curled up in a ball, having just been beaten by the original host. Bai Shihan was holding the child. When she saw me staring at her, her body couldn't help but tremble even more. She subconsciously hugged Nuan tighter to her chest, her eyes filled with tears. It wasn't that she hadn't thought about taking Nuan and leaving, but she herself was an orphan, and all the money in the house was controlled by this devil. She had even considered ending her own life, but she couldn't bear to leave her child. What would happen to 3-year-old Nuan if she died? So every time she was beaten, she could only endure it alone, not even daring to cry loudly for fear of frightening the child. After a long time, I sighed deeply, slowly stood up, and turned on the light. The warm orange light illuminated the entire room. The dilapidated furniture and the strong smell of alcohol in the air were overwhelming. Looking at the mess in front of me, I scratched my head helplessly and silently started tidying up. Bai Shihan was still curled up, holding Nuan without moving. But a trace of surprise flashed in her eyes. She knew that this devil never cleaned the house. He would just drink and then sleep every time. This situation was a first. I didn't rush to disturb the mother and daughter. Instead, I grabbed a towel from the kitchen and started cleaning the table. By the time the room was spotless, I was already sweating profusely. After a short rest, I took clean clothes from the bedroom and walked into the bathroom. Bai Shihan looked at the tightly closed bathroom door, then at the room I had just cleaned, her eyes revealing intense incomprehension. He even threw away the remaining alcohol? Why? To say he had become a better person was something she simply didn't believe. A devil was a devil. "Mommy, Nuan is hungry." 3-year-old Nuan opened her big, round eyes and looked at her mother. Bai Shihan stroked Nuan's hair. "Nuan, be good. Mommy will cook for you in a moment." Nuan nodded sensibly. Even at her young age, she knew that she only got food when her dad was asleep. I pushed the door open after taking a shower, and clearly saw the mother and daughter sitting on the old small sofa, both simultaneously shrinking away from me. I shook my head, ignored the two of them, pushed the front door open, and walked out. Bai Shihan was stunned, and a trace of despair was in her eyes. Is he going out to buy alcohol again? Will Nuan and I have to go hungry for another night? Shihan bit her lip, her face turning pale, and tears fell uncontrollably. Nuan thought her mother was crying because she was hungry. She quickly stretched out her soft little hand and clumsily wiped Bai Shihan's face. "Mommy, don't cry. Nuan isn't hungry anymore." Bai Shihan bit her lip, and her tears fell even harder. After a while, she gently said in a trembling voice, Nuan, be a good girl. Mommy will put you to sleep. You won't be hungry when you're asleep. Mommy will get up early tomorrow and make you something delicious, okay?" Nuan nodded obediently. "Okay, Mommy. Don't cry." Bai Shihan held Nuan and slowly stood up. The wounds on her back faintly ached because of her movement. Due to long-term malnutrition, her vision blurred for a moment, but she still struggled to stand up, holding her daughter and walking step by step into the bedroom. Only after lying on the bed did Bai Shihan feel a little better. She softly hummed a lullaby, trying to coax Nuan to sleep. Watching Nuan slowly close her eyes, Bai Shihan thought about the 2 years of suffering since they got married. Feeling incredibly heartbroken, she finally decided that she would leave tomorrow, escaping this hell. Even dying outside would be better than being tortured to death by this devil. Just then, the sound of the door lock turning came from outside. Bai Shihan, lost in her thoughts, couldn't help but tremble again. She subconsciously covered Nuan's ears and quietly listened to the movement outside. I pushed the door open and subconsciously looked at the sofa. I couldn't help but be stunned. They went back to the bedroom, but they don't seem to have eaten yet. I stared blankly at the food in my hands. After thinking for a moment, I placed the food on the table and walked towards the bedroom. Bai Shihan had been tense all over. She heard my footsteps slowly approaching. She quickly closed her eyes and pretended to be asleep, praying in her heart that I wouldn't come in. But in the next moment, there was a sudden knock on the door. "I bought you some food. Come out and eat if you're hungry. I'll sleep in the side room tonight." Hearing the familiar voice, Bai Shihan abruptly opened her eyes. Then, she heard my footsteps gradually move away. The room immediately became quiet again. Only Bai Shihan's nervous breathing echoed in the bedroom. Nuan had opened her eyes at some point. She clearly heard my voice and was staring curiously at the closed door. That smelly daddy didn't come back to the room to sleep today, and it seems he even said he bought me food? Thinking of the food, she felt hungry again. She swallowed hard and looked at her mother with anticipation. The situation was too bizarre, leaving Bai Shihan at a loss. But seeing her daughter's expectant eyes, she still mustered up the courage, tiptoed quietly to the bedroom door, and opened it. The aroma of the food on the dining table assailed her nostrils. Bai Shihan's eyes immediately became moist. The food in the distance became hazy. He really bought food for her and her daughter? Facing this sudden kindness from the devil, Bai Shihan felt not happiness, but a profound fear from the bottom of her heart. Why is he acting this way? What else does he want from me? Nuan, with her bare feet and short little legs, also ran over, peering out through the crack in the door. Then, her eyes suddenly lit up and saliva unconsciously dripped out. But she didn't act on her own. Instead, she raised her head, staring unblinkingly at her mother. Bai Shihan helplessly closed her eyes, then looked at her daughter's expectant gaze, took a deep breath, and then forced a smile. She picked up Nuan. "Shh, Nuan, be good. Let's eat quietly." Nuan happily closed her eyes and hurriedly nodded her small head. I, in the room, of course, heard the sounds outside. I sighed deeply again. After going out to get a haircut and buy food, I realized that there was only a little over 1,800 in savings left in this house. If I had transmigrated a little later, this family probably wouldn't have been able to afford food. Time to make some money. After pondering for a moment, I suddenly became excited. How could I have been so slow to realize? This is a parallel world. I quickly picked up my phone and continuously scrolled through this world's information. Sure enough, as in my memory, the cultural heritage and the entertainment industry were completely different from my original world. In particular, this world's entertainment level was quite stagnant. Some frankly mediocre songs, which made me frown, were even dominating the hot song charts. My mind quickly recalled classic songs one by one. As I thought, I gradually couldn't stay awake and could only drag my exhausted body slowly into dreamland. At 6 a.m. the next morning, I stretched and gently opened the door of the side room and walked out. The dining table and kitchen had been cleaned spotlessly. Bai Shihan must have tidied up after eating last night. I stood in place and thought for a moment. Bai Shihan usually gets up at 8 a.m. to cook, because the original me would sleep until past 10 a.m. Only after I woke up and finished drinking would the mother and daughter be able to eat my leftovers. I subconsciously sighed again. Bai Shihan in the room was actually already awake. She didn't dare to go out. The noise outside stopped, the door sounded, and then closed again. Bai Shihan pursed her lips, staring at the bedroom door, feeling somewhat curious about where I had gone out to this time. She waited for a long time, and there was still no movement outside. Bai Shihan glanced at Nuan, who was still sound asleep beside her. After thinking about it, she still plucked up the courage, quietly got out of bed, opened the bedroom door, and walked out. The smell of alcohol in the room had become very faint. Fresh air blew in through the window and smelled very nice. This situation gave Bai Shihan a sense of unreality. It had been a long time since she had smelled this fresh scent. The house could feel comfortable like this again? Bai Shihan walked to the window and looked out at the world. She unconsciously stared blankly. Only at this moment did she suddenly remember that she was only 24 years old. She didn't know how long passed before the sound of the front door opening was heard again. Bai Shihan was completely startled. Then she subconsciously tensed up and mechanically turned around. I was also awkwardly frozen in place. I hadn't expected Bai Shihan to be awake. I woke up this morning and found there were no ingredients in the house, so I just bought some meat,